This episode is brought to you by regret and bad choices.
Are you ready?
Starting now?
Well, now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. Objects, I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
You know, but
You're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, really, this is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now.
All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And Mike, would you like to get this year started off right with the first F word?
Fuck no.
I figured you want to. I thought about it. I was going to say happy fucking New Year, and I'm like, you know what? No, I talk enough, so I'll give you the opportunity to get the first F word at 225. So
I appreciate that. God, that sounds weird.
Yeah, doesn't it? And it's kind of funny because usually, I don't necessarily write down a date very much, but I'm in my computer a lot.
Right.
In these emails that we send, we've got to give dates, like I call it deadline dates and stuff
Sure.
like that. And it's only been a few days or a couple of days that I've been actually back to work.
Right.
And I haven't messed up yet, so I was kind of proud of myself. The funny part is like over the last 6 months, for some stupid reason, I kept in these callback dates, I kept putting 2020, and I'm like, whatever 20. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with me?
Well, dude, it's only an hour and a half, man.
Right? Yeah, time to make a list. Well, we don't have that kind of time, but yeah. So it's a brand new year, brand new us, right? Same old.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Right. New
Right.
year, new calendar.
Exactly. Yeah, and I obviously found a couple of my posts to talk about that, the New Year's resolutions, and don't mean anything, and blah blah blah, and make a change on a day, and because really, it's we've talked about that. We talked about that last episode, so we don't need to beat that dead horse. But the main point is that you and we do not make New Year's resolutions, right?
Nope.
And this thing, if this thing changes, this thing meaning the podcast, it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a new calendar. It's just because we feel like fucking doing it.
Right. And it won't. So.
Right. Yeah. And if it does, it's just going to be inadvertent.
Well, yeah.
And change doesn't necessarily have to be a good thing.
Right.
We could have changes in here that we're like, oh, that's kind of fucked up, but new year, new fucked upness.
Right. Same old shit,
different year. So we'll talk about your weather situation, because it wasn't even occurring to me that you guys might be getting snow, but we'll talk about that. And I got actually got a couple of things. Do I have news stories? I think I have a couple of things. I started listening to the Alex Van Halen book, so I got actually a few things on the Van Halen side of things. But
cool.
Yeah, some other things. I've got a thing on Monica Lewinsky too. If people can start Googling that while you're listening to the reading, but
you kids,
yeah, you kids, if you have no idea who who Monica Lewinsky is, but we'll get to it. So.
All right.
All right. So, are we changing the format for the new year? We're not doing readings anymore. Isn't that what you said? Well, fuck everyone. And is that what you said?
Well, I said the second half of that on a daily basis, and definitely today. But no, the first part is incorrect, sir.
I know, because the reading part's that's the fun part of this podcast. The rest is just fucking nonsense.
Right. Yeah, well, it's the sobriety part anyway. So
Right. Yeah, we at least live up to our name. We're like, it's almost like punching our sober card as we get into this. We talked about, we know every week we're going to talk about something, at least something
right.
sobriety related. So
We will. Right. and generally a few things.
right.
Right. Anyway, yes, we have a reading. And it was today's. God grant me. I liked
Nice.
it. And I went, what the hell? We'll do that one tonight. So here we go. January 3rd. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. ... Reinhold Niebuhr. I'm assuming German. The guy that wrote the Serenity Prayer. All right. The Serenity Prayer starts by having us ask our higher power to grant serenity that leads to acceptance of the unchangeable. We reach out. We let our higher power put an end to our struggle. As using addicts, we refused to accept our illness. We struggled against the chains that we could not remove. The good thing about acceptance is that it saves energy. When we accept our illness, energy that went into our illness and defenses is freed up to be used for our recovery and our healing. Prayer is always about reaching outside of ourselves, about stepping outside of our egos, our instincts, our all-consuming troubles. The Serenity Prayer is about us reaching out to our higher powers' peace, grace, and healing. Prayer for the day, speaking of which, higher power, touch me with your peace and grace. Help me to accept my illness and the things that I can't change. Please use the energy that acceptance frees up to help be the person you want me to be. Today's action, those pesky actions. Today, I will make a list of all the things I am now struggling against, like speaking, that I can't change. Throughout the day, I will ask my higher power to help me accept the things I can't change.
First of all, I was not only laughing at the like, oh, reach out and touch me.
Yep.
But you were sitting there. It was hard for you to kind of keep a straight face and straight voice while you were reading all this stuff. I'm giggling over here about thinking about, God, I think the next woman in my life, I'm gonna call her higher power and say, hey,
Can you
touch
show me on the doll where the higher power touched you?
My peace and serenity. Show me some grace.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. All right. So the last part, and you know what? Obviously, well, not obviously, but I did. I read that this morning as part of my string of readings, and I thought about that that last part. I was gonna, and I don't think no, I don't think I did, but that last part, I was thinking about the whole struggling thing and blah blah blah. I'm like, did we talk about that last year? And then I'm like, I'm sure we got plenty to talk about, but now we do. So read that again. It says things that we're struggling with or struggling against, or how did that read again?
The action?
Yeah, the last part of it.
Throughout the day, I will ask my higher power to help me accept things I can't change. Let's see. The whole thing is today I will make a list of things I'm now struggling against that I can't change.
So, and I think we talked about this last year, but I guess let's again start there with the end. Is there anything right now that you think that you're struggling against?
You know, when I read that this morning, I smiled to myself and said, I don't have to make a list. Right. Again. Yeah. Acceptance. I don't do that anymore, which is a beautiful thing. I seriously don't. I don't fight fucking anything that I can't change. The Serenity Prayer, I mean, literally, unless I'm reading it out of one of these books, I say it once a week when I'm at my home group, at the beginning of the lead, because they say, will you please join me?
And you're like, okay, I think I will.
I believe I shall. But yeah, but where I was going with that was the Serenity Prayer. It's been said so many times over the past 14 plus years, in different ways and different, that it's just part of my life, man. I don't, I still have to work on the stuff, that I can change. That's always the difficult part of it. Give me the strength to fucking change the shit I can. Um, and the wisdom to know the difference. Again, that's pretty easy too. I know the stuff that I can't change, and I don't fight against it anymore. I go, well, there's something I can't fucking do anything about. Moving on. And it's beautiful, man. Again, wasting energy. We talk about that all the time, man. Burning calories on shit that doesn't mean anything. I'm I got a birthday coming up here in a month and a half or so. I'm getting fucking old and feeling it, and it's cold today, and so I'm feeling it in my bones. And I'm just like, fuck, man. It's the clock is ticking. I know I don't have a whole ton of time left around here. And I'm not wasting it. I just can't anymore. I mean, trust me, I waste plenty of time. Hi, Facebook. But but yeah, seriously. I mean, I'm not burning calories on shit that I'm not going to have an effect on. I just can't. If there's something I can, you bet your ass I'm gonna do my best to make it a little better.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you just on one thing.
All right.
I think I think it might be being, and I'm not even saying being hard on yourself, but you talked about you waste a lot of time. I disagree with that. I don't think you waste any time because you're doing things by choice. You're on Facebook by
Right.
choice. You're watching a baseball game by choice, or you're sitting on your ass by choice, or you
Right.
go out to a meeting by choice. Whatever the case is,
Right.
I mean, yes, Facebook and social media occupies a lot of my time.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram mainly. I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook, but it is a choice, and there
Sure.
is some sort of gratitude out of it. I don't, nobody's holding a gun to my head or yours,
Right.
to the best of my knowledge, to make you go on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's an occupier of time, but you're doing something. If you didn't want to go on Facebook, you wouldn't fucking go on Facebook.
Right.
If you didn't want to celebrate a holiday, you didn't celebrate a holiday. So
I most certainly did not.
right. So I'm giving you a little bit of grace and credit
All
there,
right.
saying that I don't think you're wasting time. You're making a choice.
Right.
And when I thought about the struggling thing, first thing I always think about, I'm like, okay, from work and working, I got to work for my money and this and that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just going in and punching a clock. Granted, I talked about it. I have the opportunity to earn, blah blah blah. If if months have been slow, and December again was a slow month, slower than they have been, but
Mm-hmm.
once again, did I ask myself this all the time, even though I'm frustrated with it, and I'm less of a commission check, I can still afford things. It tightens things up and all those things, but that is something that I mean, I can change to an extent, but I
Mm-hmm.
can also stay consistent.
Right.
Am I fucking around? No. Am I at
Mm.
work every day, with the exception of days that I choose to take off? And
Right.
I've given those days off. I don't call in sick. I don't do all these things. I don't fuck
Right.
around. So if I struggle with that, those are things that I can work on. So yeah, I mean, that's a struggle. But to your point, and I think the whole point of the Serenity Prayer is being able to recognize that if there's something out there in the universe or whatever, or other fucking people,
Mm-hmm.
that are being a-holes or this and that, I mean, we can't, people, places, and things, I
Right.
can't change them.
Oh, clearly. Well, yeah, clearly. I mean, right. But that's the whole point of it is struggling. Yeah, we struggle with shit, work and whatever. But again, the wisdom to know the fucking difference. Yeah, there's nothing
Right.
wrong with struggling, but struggling against things that we can't change is
Correct.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is, like you said, it's I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's such a piece behind all of that. And even take a look at the last 6 months with the whole, I mean, by no means am I going to get into a political discussion, but politics, think about how much that fucked up people,
Oh, I
and
know.
it fucked up people and divided people. And,
Mm-hmm.
people literally had sleepless nights and anxiety and all those different things. And you know what? We talked about it. I mean, a lot of those things either haven't happened yet, where there's
Right.
always a yet,
Mm-hmm.
may never happen. So why now worry about it? But on
Right.
top of that, it's just that we're just these little these little, pegs in this whole thing, and these fucking leaders and politics and bosses and managers and whatever the case is. I mean, it just, people are going to be people.
Right.
And I mean, I don't want to lose fucking sleep over some fucking knob in a Capitol building. I
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't.
Exactly. Yeah. Some idiot, and most of them are. That's pretty safe description of pretty much all of them.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Trying to, exactly. I mean, I posted, the first time around for this guy, not one way or another, but I just said, look, man, who's ever in the Oval Office does not affect my day-to-day life. I don't care if they're Republican, Democrat, it doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't affect my life day to day. It really doesn't. And if it does affect my life, then I'm giving them way too much power and way too much credit. And yeah, I wake up in the morning, doesn't matter who's there, doesn't affect me. I walk out my door. Doesn't matter who's there. Doesn't affect me. I do what I do. I do what I'm supposed to do. And I don't care who fucking there. If this country gets taken over by the Chinese, man, I'm still going to do what I need to do. It's not going to be as much fun, but, or maybe it'll be more fun. How the fuck do I know?
Yeah,
Never
really.
been to China.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows
Right.
how that is? But yeah, the whole struggling thing, like you said, the amount of peace that comes out of, not struggling over again, those things that we can change. And the Serenity Prayer, I say it, I actually say it twice a day. It's part of my, it's the, like I have one part of my prayers and the actual prayer, my part of my prayers, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's twice a day. I end up saying it.
Cool.
And I've done it for years. It just, however I got to it, I've done it for years, but it's funny though, that like I said before, whether it's the readings or, my morning prayers or I say a little set of prayers at night, obviously before I go to bed. Sometimes it is just kind of going through the motions type of thing. So every once in a while I try to slow down a little bit and, kind of pay attention, because the words of the Serenity Prayer, we, like you said, I mean, how many times have we said it in the last 14, almost 15 years?
Right.
I don't want to say it loses its meaning, but it just becomes part of it, just their words. But, really, when you take a look at it, it's like, oh, okay, I see. I see what you're getting at there. I see where you're coming from.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
That's what I was thinking of. I couldn't think of the words. Speaking of, but the couple of things that I wrote down, it said acceptance of the unchangeable. Obviously, we were talking about that.
Right.
During our activeness, refusing to accept our illness. And I mean, I just was fucking clueless. I, fucking writing all over the goddamn walls and in my face and literally written on the inside of my eyeballs, and I couldn't see it.
Right.
But acceptance saves energy. That's the one that I like, that one. It saves energy, which is kind of what you were talking about, right? As far as saving energy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Again, these batteries are getting low, man. I'm not, I'm not burning the shit on nonsense anymore. I can't. I don't have it. And so, right. What little I have left, I want to make sure it counts and make sure it goes again towards the good, the light side of the force.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it's kind of funny. I was going to say sad, but not really. It happens with age. I mean, with age, comes a certain amount of wisdom, and obviously with sobriety comes a little bit of wisdom, I hope and think, and just the things that I appreciate, and I know you too, the things that you appreciate these days versus whether it's 15 years ago or 40 years ago.
Right.
I mean, what a huge difference, and really, I just enjoying the little things and enjoying that little peace of mind, and we've talked about again that the simple things like, ooh, that fucking moon and all those sort of things, but even just in general, just enjoying time with people when we want to be around people, or like we talked about, I don't know, a handful of months ago, being comfortable just sitting by ourselves, which is again, like you said, I mean, I think at that time you're like, wow, I never thought about that. What a terrible existence, not being able to sit by yourself. But I mean, how many years did we do that?
Right. Yeah. Without the help of some sort of chemical to make it bearable. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I love being by myself. I still do. But yeah, I couldn't do it. Yeah. Just me. It wasn't an option. I needed to medicate myself one way or another. And no, not anymore, man. No, I'm cool.
Right. And I mean, I do. I'm all about, but I mean, for the most part, I mean, I sit down at night and I don't necessarily just, sit perfectly straight with my hands crossed and, kind of folded together or just sit in complete silence.
No.
But at night, once I'm done, watching TV, this and that, brush my teeth, take my contacts out. I mean, yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
scrolling through, Facebook or Instagram or whatever. But I enjoy that quietness. I mean, yeah, I've got a
Mm-hmm.
screen in front of me, but there's that point of that quietness, and then doing my 10 step and doing that sort of thing. That may
Mm-hmm.
be if 5 or 10 minutes, but
Right.
that time like that, and just that quietness,
Mm-hmm.
it's a gift. It's great. It's wonderful. It's peaceful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Right. I mean, well, once a month I go and put myself in a tank where there's absolutely nothing going on. That's fucking great. There's no
Right.
way in hell I could have done that 15 years ago.
Yeah, well, and when I go on these walks and these hikes and stuff like that, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, unless I happen to be with somebody, I mean, I don't take headphones, I don't take anything
Right.
with me. I just walk and I mean, yeah, it's not like I'm completely trying to void my mind of any thought. I mean, I'll think
Mm.
about everything. I'll think
Right.
about good. I'll think about but even if I'm thinking about a stressful thing, like if something weird is going on in my life, which is rare, or you think about some of whatever work stuff or whatever the case may
Mm-hmm.
be. It doesn't stress me out because I mean I'm out there, I'm just enjoying shit. It's the sights and the sounds, but I specifically don't. I never thought, it never crossed my mind, to take headphones with me,
Right.
or
Right.
earbuds or whatever. Just never
Right.
never even occurred to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, again, I was never like, well, I didn't want to walk in the fucking woods, let alone let alone walk
Right.
in the woods and not listen to anything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a little tough to take a couple mile hike when you're dragging a cooler behind you.
Well, you know what? I told you about that guy, and when I was in the where was I? That was I was in Lake of the Ozarks when
Right.
that older guy that kind of passed me on the trail while I was taking pictures, and then when I caught up to him, he was sitting down on one of the steps that was going down to another part of the trail, and had his plastic pint of. Maybe it was filled with water, but I doubt
Mm-hmm.
it. looked like a pint of vodka, and he was
Right.
out there, having his fucking drinks while he's hiking, and I'm like, I mean, I laughed because I'm like, yeah, why? I mean, I would have. Why,
Right. Of course.
if I chose to walk in the woods at that time, I
Mm-hmm.
would have had something to drink with me. Why wouldn't
Right.
I?
Yeah. Yeah. Something to smoke. Right. Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gone empty-handed without some sort of substance to abuse. That's for damn sure.
Right.
But so anyhow, I mean, I like that reading. But oh, real quick, I guess back to the whole Serenity Prayer thing, and I know you said the once a week thing. Did you lean on that more in early recovery?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, that was the point I was kind of make is, I mean, I have said it so many times, it's just kind of part of me. I
Right.
mean, it's become kind of the way I think about everything, those three lines basically. Yeah, that's the way I work these days, accept the things that I can't change the things I fucking can, and know the goddamn difference between the two. And
And
if
I
you're doing that and you're doing it properly, shit, man, life gets pretty fucking good.
Right. And relatively it simplifies it too, right? I mean, it doesn't
Right, exactly.
necessarily make things easy. I was almost said easier, but it does. It simplifies things where it's just hopefully a little bit more black and white than, not this fucking mulled up, mixed up
Mm.
kaleidoscope of fucking shit. But I mean, there was again, I can't remember what it was. It was a couple of months ago. I was fucking wigged out about something. It was relatively recently.
Hmm.
No idea what it was, and I remember wherever I was, I stopped for a minute and did the whole Serenity prayer thing. I
Hmm.
literally did. I stopped and said it a couple of times, and
Right.
I don't. It wasn't anything major, but it was one of those things where that was my okay. I need to calm down for a minute. It's you can take a deep breath and all sort of things, and I mean that
Sure.
goes along with it sometimes too, but I did that obviously far more, when we were like, newly sober.
Sure.
I mean, everything was fucking me up. I go be at work or something. I don't know how to handle something. Go in the bathroom. God, grab me Serenity Prayer. But you know what? You say it sometimes, 2-3 times, and it's like, wow, there it goes. I get it now.
Yep.
A little bit of a calming effect, which is the
Absolutely.
point.
Yep.
Absolute point.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, anything else on that, or?
No.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. That about covers it. But oh no, good reading. And like I said, I literally I thought about that struggling thing, and I'm like, yeah, I think we talked about that. But I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, that's a good reading, obviously, in my opinion, for any day, but certainly to start off this wonderful year, right?
Right.
All right. So speaking of that, obviously January, first month of the year, and theoretically, obviously in not most, but a lot of the AA groups is when they, kind of lean more on that first step.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I once again, I mean, I know we're not going to obviously go through the first step completely, but just to, I don't know, maybe as a rerun for us or even for anyone else. Same thing when you first came in, and I think we've talked about this, but like, brand new in the steps, and I know you've been around this thing before, but as you had said openly that you really didn't, work through everything, all that stuff. But
No.
did you have trouble right away, committing and believing to the first step? And I know this might be a repeat, but I'm going to ask it anyhow.
Right. I mean, well, pretty common to get the first half of the first step down pretty quickly. Yeah, and fucking powerless over the substance, man. Your life's all fucked up. Right. But the second part, life is unmanageable. Yeah, again, kind of sitting at the Keating Center or wherever, or church basement for the first time, and you're someplace that clearly you wouldn't be normally, or by your own choice or whatever. Right. You go, yeah, but we forget that that's the first thing I see people losing is the second part of the first step. They start managing their own lives, and that's where we get fucked up every time. I say it all the time, any chance I get, and I will continue to say it. We're working on 15 years here. I don't manage my own life. I don't. I can't. I proved that to myself for decades, over and over and over again. I can't fucking manage my life. I need these principles. I need this program. I need the steps. I need all this guidance from this thing that we do to manage my life. And if I allow that to happen, then my life works out pretty fucking good as I look around my house. But if I don't, I start doing it my way. My way is to lie, cheat, and steal. My way is to medicate myself. My way is to, again, yeah, cheat, man, just shooting angles and trying to get over and looking for the easier, softer way. And that's who I am, and that's who I will always be. And I've got to remember that, I am powerless over that shit. And I have got to remember that I can't manage my life. I never could. I never will. As long as I allow this other stuff, this program to manage my life, then my life works. If I do it my way, it doesn't.
Yeah, and with and I've said it on here enough times. When I went into the Keating Center, went there with skipping in with bells on and all that stuff. I had no desire to be there. I had no desire to quit drinking. I didn't know what I wanted, but I know I didn't. That wasn't forefront in my mind.
Right.
And I know a little bit about the steps, and obviously because my dad and all that stuff, but it was funny, and I've said this, I don't know how many times on here, but I think it's important, our buddy Dan, who passed away this past, what was a year? Was that this year? That was this year, wasn't it? Or last year?
Last year.
God damn, was it? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, 2023.
Jesus. But yeah, our good friend Dan used to do group, and he was talking to us about the first step, and he goes, you may not, to us as a group, a bunch of people sitting in a fucking classroom all fucked up in the head to begin with. And he says that you do not have to believe that you're powerless over alcohol, but he goes, if you're in the Keating Center, he goes, your life is unmanageable.
Right.
And I'm like, fuck me, because I believed him, and I didn't look at it like, yeah, fuck you, dude. What are you talking about? What am I going to say? I mean, it's like, I'm not covered in shit and I'm sitting in a pile of manure, I mean,
Right.
look around you,
Mhm.
but, so that part of it, I accepted the second part, I think, before I accepted the first, thanks to Dan. And then the powerless part of it just kind of came over, I think, again, this slow progression where,
Sure.
thankfully, like we have talked about, I didn't have the cravings. I didn't have the desire. I wasn't jumping out of my skin trying to, or wanting to get a drink or anything like that.
Mhm.
So that powerlessness, kind of became learned and ingrained, and thankfully over time,
Mhm.
and now, what I say, it's the same, but a little bit different than you. Every single time in my prayers, I say to myself every morning and night, I'm powerless over alcohol, and I say drugs, even though I never did them, because I know if I do them, I'm fucked.
Right.
And I always say, without you, my life is unmanageable, meaning my
Mhm.
higher power.
Right.
And that's the same. I say it in different words, but I do mean the same thing that you're saying. I do not. I guess I'm accepting to myself and just saying it out loud every day. Listen, I need somebody else's help here.
Right.
I mean, on my own, left to my own devices, all that shit, all this is unmanageable. My life becomes manageable here because
Mhm.
of all this stuff. So you just say it,
Right.
you're flat out and you're like, I don't manage my life. I
Right.
say it a little bit differently, but I do. I mean the same thing. I 100% do.
Mhm.
And it's huge, because yes, we have to make decisions. We can't just sit around and hope for shit to come to us. We got to do the
Right.
work,
Mhm.
because that's the other big part of it.
Right.
But these principles and these good people, as you always say, that taught us all these things, that's what ends up, managing our lives, which is
Yep.
kind of a beautiful thing,
Mhm.
a beautiful gift that we didn't have before. That's for goddamn sure.
Right.
Because I knew what I was doing. I was just fine.
Oh yeah, complete control and tons of power.
Right. Yeah. And look where that got us. Right.
Mhm.
But yeah. So first step stuff. I don't know. It's if you happen to and even if and I think this is interesting, so even if there's people listening to us that aren't part of a 12-step program,
Right.
it's my opinion that if you take a look at that first step and really look at it, you're doing the same thing, possibly not looking at it like, oh, I've just achieved the first step,
Mhm.
but I think that people who are living a sober life, an active and positive sober life, are really they've done the first step, and probably the other one's just in a different way,
Right. Mhm.
which I think is kind of fun because the steps are just, we talked about it, they're just fucking life lessons anyhow,
Yep. Exactly.
call them what you will. But and just a quick side note, this has nothing to do with the steps, but my fucking chair is messed up. So I've got, you see my chair, just it's an inexpensive, kind of office chair, nothing
No.
special, not
Yeah.
like a, not like a big one like you have. I wouldn't be able to fit yours in my car.
Mhm.
Um, but I bought it, and here was my mindset. Here's the stupidity here, right? So when I bought the first one, I don't know, year and a half ago, I think, or something like that, maybe even 2 years ago, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to spend $100 on a fucking chair. Went on Amazon,
Right.
found one, $30 or whatever it was. I bought
Mhm.
4 of them
Mm.
in the last 2 years. So do the math. I've spent $120,
Sure.
roughly, but maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less, depending on if they're on sale or not. But what happens with these things is, they work fine, they lean back, they do the whole thing, and then sooner or later it's like when you move forward, it'll like tip forward where it
Mhm.
shouldn't tip. And
Mhm.
I look underneath and nothing's broken. It just gets to a point where you lean forward and it just kind of like I'm gonna fall off the front, and I hate it. And it just started today for no fucking reason. I'm just sitting here, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So yeah, all day I've been struggling with my chair. So
Mm.
powerless. I'm powerless over this chair, but right before
Right.
that we started, I'm like, I looked at Walmart, so I got to go to Walmart tomorrow anyhow. Once I get to my new location, I'm like, maybe I'll look for an office chair there. So
Right. So your ass is unmanageable.
yeah, my seat is unmanageable, an unmanageable ass. Now it's really bothersome because I mean I'm sitting. It's like if the seat in your truck fucked up, you had to sit
Right.
in it all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know,
I know.
and that's exactly
It's
what.
happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nothing like God. I couldn't even imagine having to drive around in the truck all day with a fucked up seat, but
It's fun.
yeah, I could only imagine. So, just real quick side note. So, you texted me today, and you're like, yeah, run a little bit slow because of the snow.
Yeah.
So, how much snow? I mean, it snowed like crazy there, or whatever,
I
or what?
no.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, there's, clearly out east in the snow belt.
Right.
They got more or whatever. I no, it's just sloppy, and there were periods of, I mean, there was a couple of times today where I was in some pretty white out, hairy shit. It was coming down hard. But yeah, it's just no. It's never the snow. It's the other drivers. Always. Always. Right. They're either going too slow or they're going too fast. Half of them don't have their fucking lights on, so you can't see them. They've got their automatic lights on, so they're covered. They don't, Jesus Christ, I hate that. If you're listening to this, kids, you have automatic lights in your car, never, ever use them. If you can't control the fucking lights in your car, what else can't you control in your vehicle? That's my little rant. But
Right.
yeah, right. My automatic lights are on, which means you got a couple of small ones in the front and your tail lights don't come on.
Right.
So if you're in a fucking whiteout condition, there's still light in the atmosphere. So the car's going, well, there's light. So we don't need to turn the tail lights on. Well, yeah, you fucking do. You need to reach over there and turn your goddamn lights on. By the way, it's the law. It is in Ohio. If your windshield wipers are on, your lights have to be on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I use my automatic lights, but in a situation like that, raining or it darkens up or snow or I'll put my lights on. I mean,
Right.
I mean, there's it's a matter of I mean, I like automatic lights, but I get your point, and I can always tell. I mean, you can still see right in your dash when your full lights are on. So if it's ever dark, I've had I don't know how many cars now with automatic lights. I like the convenience of them when they come on automatically, but. I do have the ability and hopefully the knowledge, which I do, to turn them on. To your point,
Right.
But yeah, I get it. I get it absolutely. But yeah, it's funny because I mean, it snowed. It snowed up by Kathy's. I don't know once when I went up to Wisconsin Christmas Eve. It had snowed the night before. They got a little bit of snow. It was snow on the ground. It was enough.
Right.
But I mean, as I got down here, when I got down here on Saturday, I mean, it was like 60 degrees, and same thing on Sunday. I mean, it was fucking beautiful. It's cooled off a little bit. I mean, it was in the 40s and stuff over the last couple of days. And shit, when we went, Morgan and I went hiking on New Year's Day. When we got there, it was like fucking 37 degrees.
Oh.
And I'm like, it's fucking cold, but it warmed up. It was, upper 40s, low 50s by the time, like half hour, 45 minutes into it. So it was comfortable. But I mean, not even the snow was not an issue,
Right.
and it's nice. I'm like, I can deal with a little bit of cold. It's not snowing. I don't have to deal with that right at the moment, So yeah, it's again, take yourself out of an area like that for a minute, and I'm like, oh, snow, what's that? I didn't like really mean it that way, but I was just like,
I know,
No,
that's why I put it in there, because I knew you would appreciate not being in it.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's funny though, because tomorrow is when I'm heading out to Albuquerque, and I looked on the 10-day forecast. I think it's Wednesday. I think out there, there's a chance for light snow. I mean, it's nothing big. It's
Right.
no accumulation from what I could see, but in that area, I mean, they get snow. They get snow in there. That when I'm coming back through Amarillo on the way back, they get snow there. They get snow
Right.
in the in the Grand Canyon where we're going. They get snow in Prescott where I'm going to be, and after Phoenix. So I mean, I get hopefully a couple of weeks there in Phoenix where at least maybe it's in the 60s or 70s, which will be
Right.
that'll be fucking nice. But I don't know. It's just the snow thing. But yeah, it is. It's the other drivers. I knew it wasn't you, but I understood what you meant. I understood what you meant. Slow having to dealing with fucking idiotic people.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, right. I slow down and drive appropriately.
Right.
Anyway.
So over the last probably had it probably a week or so, all obviously you see all New Year's stuff, and the thing that just cracks me up every year, because it's this year isn't a leap year, but everyone does this post that says, oh, tomorrow starts the first page of a 365 page book, whatever it is. Write a good one type of thing. That's everyone posts that.
Bleh.
And and that's I'll never forget. What was the last? Was it not last year, but the year before? Was last year a leap year, or was it the year before?
Yeah, last year.
Okay.
Presidential election years are leap years.
Always. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good way to remember. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember at the beginning, I saw at least a handful of people posted that. I'm like, wrong 366, and I'm like, God damn it, because people just post this shit. They don't really pay attention to what's in the calendar. But anyhow, so you see that stuff, but then a lot of the stuff that I saw, and the reason I there's a point for me bringing this up, and I think I'll make it, but I'll make the point. But it says there's some people posting how shitty 2024 was. So that's one.
Right.
And then other people posting about basically this forecast of how shitty 2025 is, or 2025 is going to be.
Right.
And I'm like, well, let me just leave it at that. So, Mike, your thoughts? let's start there.
Right. My thoughts are you're all a bunch of fucking morons.
That's what I thought, because I'm like, okay, so I don't know. Even take a look at, there was some, I mean, even in sobriety, there have been some years where there's been some shit,
Sure.
I mean, there's people that have died. I've been out of work. I mean, I've struggled. I've had this. Maybe I got my heart stepped on, whether it was perceived or not, whatever the case is. But I don't remember ever looking back and being like, this year fucking sucked. Now, even the pandemic years, and I get it, with that stuff, because there was everyone,
No, so, not everyone. I kind of enjoyed it.
Right. No, but I mean, I was going to say everyone, was dealing with the same stuff.
Sure.
For the most part. But part of that's kind of like, I get that a little bit, because that kind of fucked up a lot of people. But even take aside that basically it was the first year. But either way, I just, looking back at a year and going, this year was so fucking shitty. Okay.
Right.
Bad mindset, try to pick out, like us, trying to talk about, bad moments versus a whole bad year.
Right.
I mean, really? But then, people are like, you see these memes about, they slowly open the door and there's a shitstorm. And I see a lot of people posting saying that, hey, did you see that the first 3 days of the year are WTF, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm like, oh my God, fucking huge goddamn eye roll on my part. I'm like, really? I'm like, what does it fucking matter? It's the change of a calendar. It doesn't fucking matter. You're the same goddamn person. It's like, today was your fucking birthday. Tomorrow you're not going to be, you don't just spring up and I don't know.
I think therein lies the problem and the answer. They're the same fucking person. Miserable fucks.
Right.
Yeah, right. Last year sucked. Next year's going to suck. Yeah, probably is, Oh, well, just make sure you don't do it around me.
Right. But I mean, even to the point where somebody's like, 220 or 2000, I want to keep saying 225. That's not what I want to, 2025. This is my year. I'm going to make all these changes. I'm like, okay, again, back to the same thing we say. What is different today than fucking this week, Tuesday,
Right.
I mean, what changed? The temperature might be a little bit different. There's, again, a calendar changed, but what the fuck? I just don't, I've never, even before I got sober, I never understood that whole mindset about, fine, if you want to, if that's your point in your year, when you make changes and you stick through it throughout the year,
right,
more power to you. And if people use those as literally the calendar change as a benchmark for another, and I hate the term sometimes, but level up, and they do it, then fuck, I mean, hey, more power to you.
Sure.
But most people fucking don't,
right. Yeah. Right. Miserable last year, miserable this year.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, the only one that made me laugh was, there's a meme that says, they're like, I already fucked up. I guess 2026 is my year. So that one people were posting that like yesterday. And that I thought was funny, because I think that's people just kind of fucking poking fun at it. But I mean, all the rest of it, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I don't understand that. I mean, what was so bad about, that 2024. I mean,
I
I was.
don't know, not much. I mean,
No, I know.
I mean, same old, life on life's terms. Shit happened and whatever. But yeah, okay. I don't know. I got through it. I'm still sober and relatively happy. And what the fuck, man?
Right.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's if I really had a catalog years for me about things that if I really wanted to look at like fun I had and new experiences and I don't growth and being able to go
Right.
out and do things. I mean, 2024 was a good fucking year for me.
Right.
But I don't look at it that way. I mean, the only thing, and I don't have New Year's resolutions or anything like that. I had a goal from the time I started this job was to get to the point of being self-sustaining, so I could not that I'm going to be out all over the place all the time,
Right.
but being able to afford it if I want to.
Right.
That's my only. And it's a goal that I started with to begin with when I first started this job was getting to that point.
Right.
And yes, I mean, if I had to put a mark on it, it'd be nice. The first 6 months of the year. It just happens to be the first 6 months of the year. It has nothing to do
Right.
really. If I would have, I don't know, if I would have started, in September and it was March, I'd be like, okay, by September, 6 months from now, I want to be there, here. What I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
I'm setting benchmarks for myself, but it really doesn't have anything to do with, with the calendar. It not even really. It has nothing to do with the calendar.
No.
It's the amount of time I think it's going to take for me to do it.
Sure.
Based on how things are going at work and my growth pattern. So
yeah.
I just don't know. Yeah. You know what? It's the year is going to be however you fucking make it. It doesn't matter what year it is or anything like that. It is literally whatever you make of it on a daily fucking basis. If you don't do the work, you're going to live the same shitty existence that you lived last year, and you're going to do it next year too. Next year, on the first of January 1st of 2026, you're going to be like, this is my fucking year. 2025 kicked my ass. Well, it's your fucking fault if it kicked your ass.
Right. Yeah, exactly. What did you do leading up to January 1st to make things better?
Right. Yeah. The groundwork, the foundation, all that stuff, right?
The footwork. I've heard that somewhere.
The footwork. Yeah. Do the fucking footwork, as they say, right? Yeah. All right. So, what do you say, Mike, on that?
Right. Yes, it's break time. All right. We'll be back after these words from our sponsor.
Hey everyone, it's your friends at Sober Not Mature.
Hi there.
Yes, it's both of your friends this time. Hi Mike, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Bill?
I am doing well, but we do have a purpose. We actually usually talk about our one website, but we actually have two websites now. So two websites in one. All right, so everyone knows we still have the podcast website that is www.SoberNotMature.com. And we just launched the store website, so we also have that. Do you know what the website address is on that one, Mike?
Of course I don't.
It's pretty easy, Mike. It's www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. But from the podcast website, you can still hit the store link and get into the web store, or you can access it from our Instagram page through the highlights. We've been posting quite a bit about it, and we'll continue to do that. But do you know what's on the second website, Mike?
Well, there's a store. There are products that you can purchase for you and your loved ones.
Well, Mike, do we still have merchandise?
We have merchandise. Well, we got T-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of crap.
And one of the coolest parts, we also do have all the recovery books from Hazelden, which is kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, at least for us. So all the books that we read, God Grant Me 24 Hours, the Big Book, the 12 and 12, all of those books are available for sale on our website. And again, that store website is www.sober.
Trying to help, man.
I know you are. You're not helping, though. Okay, now I got to say www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. .com. Visit that today, or visit the podcast website, which is, again, the podcast website. So
www.SoberNotMature.com.
Did you just say SoberNotMature?
Yeah, sure. Write that down.
Yeah, like fucking mush mouth or something. All right, everyone. You've suffered enough with this, and we'll get back to what we were talking about previously. So visit the websites, though. All right, everyone. Welcome back. And I just got to say, there was no flavor to that one.
Nah, there wasn't. That was generic as fuck. I knew
know,
it as soon as I did it, and I was just like, you know what, man, I'm fucking tired.
There was nothing. I'm not really criticizing you. I'm just, pointing out the obvious, going, that was nothing. There was nothing there.
That was a big old ball of nothing.
A big old ball of nothing. Oh, one of our followers.
Yes.
So you want to talk about vagina vitamins again real quick?
Oh, always.
Okay, so here's the funny part is that well, first of all, in that alcoholfree.com, they always do because I looked specifically, I couldn't wait to look once they got our write-up up if they would the word vagina was going to be in our AI write-up, and it was. And nice. It was in quotes even vagina vitamins, and it's like, ooh, they even went to a weird topic like it. I was like, oh, this is so fucking funny. But then our friend Sheila, and she's the one that said at the one point, one of them's more immature than the other. That's a comment I always come back to because that's the easiest one for me to identify her. But right. So this is our friend Sheila. Hi Sheila, because I think you hopefully you still listen. But she messaged on one of the posts I did, one of the episode clips, but she said, I was listening to your podcast at the gym and had to rewind at the part about the vag gummies. And then I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, were they gummies? I mean, I'm not going to argue with her. I mean, she would maybe no more than I would. Whatever product I talked about, maybe they were gummies. And if they were, hey, if you can get a freshen up your vag and do it in gummy form, why the fuck not, right?
Why not? Flintstone chewables.
Shaped like vaginas.
Right. Wilma and Betty.
Can you see grabbing a handful of vitamins? The fuck are these? They're vaginas. Oh, all right. But then she says, my first thought, what TikToker or celebrity endorsed this one? I thought that was funny. And she says, they'll sell us a gummy for just about anything. WebMD does not recommend. Sorry, guys. She says, I'm sure there's one for fresh balls, too. And then she said, LOL and Happy New Year. And I did make a comment. I said, there is something for fresh balls. I said, it's called a bar of soap.
Right.
But I just thought that was funny. So first of all, just the fact that I think I put that in my comment to her, I said, just the fact that somebody had to rewind our podcast because the word vagina came up. I think that was kind of the point. That was the point of me bringing it up to begin with. But every once in a while she chimes in and it makes, I don't know, she says some funny shit every once in a while. It makes me laugh. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's get to a piece of sobriety thing. Then I'll come back to the whole Van Halen. See, nothing changes this year.
See, same, right?
Van Halen stuff.
Same slick professionalism that you've come to expect.
I can't speak in 2024. I can't speak in 2025. You sure as fuck couldn't speak. We got that right off. All right. We may have talked about this one too. This was from Keep It Simple, I believe, this week. 2 thoughts will always mess up if we let them. Those thoughts are yes, but, and what if. Okay. Do you remember talking about that? I know I've read it before, but I don't remember if we talked about it. So
I don't think we've talked about it. Yeah, I do recall reading it in the near past.
Yeah, and I think it was just this week. So let me just repeat that. 2 thoughts that will always mess us up if we let them. They are yes, but, and what if. So your thoughts, Mr. Mike? Want to start with one? Yes, but.
Yes, but. Qualifying shit. That screws us up every time. Absolutely. Yes, but. Well, don't say fucking yes, man. Just it either is or it isn't. And if you're going to argue about it, well, then just fucking get into it, man. Don't agree with me and then tell me I'm wrong. Just tell me I'm wrong. And I'll say, okay, you're wrong, but that's fine. Yeah, exactly. That will, things are or they aren't. And again, down to acceptance and struggling against things that we can't change. Either it is or it isn't. And if you want to say that's, the sky is green and whatever, that's fine. You go believe that if you want to. But again, don't bring it around me.
And then the other one is what if?
Right. What if? I don't know that that says that you have some sort of control over things that haven't happened yet. Good luck with that one too.
Right.
It's going to bring it all back down to the Serenity Prayer, man. Yeah. What if? I don't know. What if, man? How about what is? That's where I like to live, and because that's the only place I can affect any change and have any control is right now. Living in the now. We've talked about it on here a million times. Live in the now. What if? I don't know. What if? What if? It's fucking ridiculous, man. I don't know. I can't even fathom.
That's another one of those. It's okay. You can stop. You don't have to do it anymore.
Thank you.
It's again one of those ones where you're just talking. You're like, why the fuck am I? What and why and what?
Why?
Yeah. So what if is speculating and obviously setting yourself up for some sort of obviously fall. My opinion.
Failure, right?
Yeah, and failure. Or expectation or resentment. And then the yeah, but like you said, is that it's either yes or no. And the yeah, but is a qualification where either you agree or disagree. Somebody says, do you want to go? Yes, but only if I don't have to sit by you type of thing.
Right.
Well, then just don't go then.
Yeah, right. So why am I talking to you?
Yeah. Do you want to go someplace? Yes, but just don't talk to me. Just be quiet. Just sit there and do nothing, But yeah, it's just that I didn't think about how funny those could be when you were starting to answer them. But maybe it's just that I've read those. Again, I've read Keep It Simple for a number of years, so
right.
It may just be something that I've read a certain number of times, but I don't know why I thought we had talked about. We may have, and maybe you got mad at it the last time too.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah, maybe that's just you just wiped it out of your brain.
Well, yeah, again, because I can't even fucking comprehend any of that shit anymore.
You're just like,
thankfully.
what? That's again that gave me more humor than I did not expect that. It's funnier than me when it just pops up out of nowhere, Yeah. All right, so this one was probably from about a month ago, and I think this had to do with the holidays coming up. But from God Grant Me, today I will list the times of the year that it is more difficult for me to stay positive. Is there a time of year that's more difficult for others, more difficult than others for you? And that was my question for you, is that, and I know we both of us kind of stay pretty even keel, but are there any time of the year that you think it is a little bit more just difficult from a positivity standpoint?
Not really. No. I mean, again, we went into this a few weeks ago, when didn't get to go to Mexico this year when we usually go.
Right.
And yeah, it kind of bummed me out. So, but it wasn't really time of the year other than, this is a thing that we do and we didn't get to do it this year. So, yeah, but the time, the days are shorter, it's darker, it's colder, whatever. I'm not a huge fan of it fucking being totally bright all the time and hot as fuck and sweating my ass off. I don't like that much either. So, yeah, I don't know. No, again, you said it, even keeled, man,
right.
which is great. No, again, outside forces affecting my life. Why? It's the calendar, it's holidays, it's I don't know, it's people in Washington DC. None of this shit affects me because I don't allow it to.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it too, that, I mean, even when I take a look at, I mean, I don't know, you take some, important times of the, the year when, or people close to us that have passed away. Like, my
Mm-hmm.
dad passed away in March, mom
Right.
passed away in October. I mean, those
Mm-hmm.
are days that I might take a moment to reflect. I've had,
Sure.
again, a couple of years ago, I was in a bad fucking mood the day that, was an anniversary of my dad's death, and it was only like
Right.
3 years ago, which fucking blew my mind because I didn't realize it because I didn't know where it came from. But I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I got some unresolved shit in my head after,
Yeah.
whatever it was, 11 years. But it wasn't like, I don't know. I don't come up to, that time in March every year and be like, oh, fuck, here it is again. Or,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, granted, it's been, a couple years since mom died. Again, it's a day of reflection type of thing.
Sure.
But, I can think about, she's in my prayers every day. My dad's
Mm-hmm.
in my prayers every day. I talk
Right.
about them in my head, and Larry, my stepdad,
Mm-hmm.
every
Right.
fucking day. So these things don't sneak up on me. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why or how I started adding, those important people. And it's basically the parental figures in my life, mom,
Mm-hmm.
Larry, and my dad,
Right.
um, and those are the people that I just added in there. These things are just forefront in my head every single day. So I think it helped me, I don't know, probably work through this shit, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, grief is grief. It is what it is.
Sure.
I mean, we all deal with it a certain way or a different way or whatever way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. There really isn't a time of year. No, I don't like winter. I don't like the fucking cold. I hate snow.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, it doesn't take away from, if I'm standing outside, it's usually my own fucking fault that I'm standing outside.
Right.
I don't work outside. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be out in the cold weather. When I did, that was a little unpleasant.
Mm-hmm.
But the same thing. I mean, I even then it wasn't like I walked around, I don't know, like a ball of fucking depression. I mean,
No.
I don't know. It was an interesting question to me because I didn't think that you had anything like that. But
Yeah.
I guess specifically, I didn't know. Maybe, hey, if other people out there, if you got times a year that are fucking weird, I don't know if you're aware of it. Do something to try to work through it so it doesn't fuck you up at a certain time of year. I mean, there's,
Right.
again, do the work. I think we all have the ability to do that work so that we shouldn't have you said it, a million times that, I don't want to get too high and I don't want to get too low.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I mean, and if you've done the work properly, whatever that work happens to be, and you have that peace and serenity in you, who fucking cares what, again, outside influences don't
Right.
affect me anymore, no matter what they are. Day of the week, calendar, holiday, president, whatever. Because inside of me, like Bob used to say all the time, it's an inside job. And I've done the work on the inside, and my insides are pretty fucking good, and they can withstand all the outside.
Right. Yeah. And it's I don't know. And I know people go through shit like that, but I just think I think it's something that's fixable, or at
Mm-hmm.
least it there's a point out there where I think that's the whole point. There's some people that do therapy, some people talk to people, some people, what, go to meetings, go to do whatever they do. But
Right.
there's ways to work through, and that's the key. It is
Mm-hmm.
all about doing the work. Yeah, I suppose if you and I sat around and did fucking nothing about taking care of ourselves and trying
Right.
to deal with all this shit that we had in our past. Yeah, I'm sure that like every day might be fucking terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Well,
sure it actually would.
yeah. And I mean, and there's a reason I finish the podcast every time the same way. Go do something for somebody else.
Right.
It fucking works every time. I'm depressed. I'm sad. Fucking go do something for somebody else. You want to fix yourself, help somebody else out.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It goes back to, we say it all the time, that AA math. It doesn't make any
Yep.
sense and it doesn't add up, but
Nope.
man, yeah, it does. It fucking works. And same thing. We I know you mentioned on here towards the beginning of the podcast, you were retired and stuff like that.
Mm.
I mean, I for whatever reason, I mean, and I got up early on New Year's Day, and we long drive back and forth and whatever. It was nice. It was a really nice
Mm-hmm.
time. But I mean, it kind of occupied the entire day. I didn't really have much day off sitting around time, but I don't care. But
Right.
I was thinking that I'm like, God, I wonder if I might be actually tired going back to work the next day. But I woke up, I'm like, hey, I'm not. I
Mm-hmm.
was sitting there on Wednesday night because, again, I mean, the total amount of we walked like 4 miles, that entire day, which was
Mhm.
longer than the trail itself. But I don't know. We ended up walking around and doing whatever, and it was a nice day and it was beautiful and all that stuff. And I got back and I ate dinner and I'm sitting there and I'm watching TV and I've been watching Breaking Bad again. I'm just sitting there and I'm on the couch and it's a little after 8 o'clock and I realize that I'm fucking dozing off. I haven't done that in a long time. But it was again a little bit cold to begin with, but fresh air, walking 4 miles,
Right.
and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, whew. And I was up early, which is no big deal.
Mhm.
But I'm like, finally, I gotta go to bed, But this morning I woke up. I must have slept weird, either restless or whatever. Fucking tired, just crazy fucking tired,
Yep.
and a little bit stuffed up. Oh, that's the other thing. I'll tell you a little bit about this place here in a little bit, but just like really stuffed up. And I'm like, is this like this might be an allergy thing, and I'll get to that in a minute. Or I might be, maybe I'm getting a mild cold. I don't feel like it, so I think it's more of an allergy thing. But I don't know, But once we get on here, this again, back to the fact that this is like a meeting. Even if I'm in one of those things where I'm like, I'm fucking tired.
Mhm.
It's not that I don't feel like doing this, but sometimes it'd be like, again, eat my pizza, do whatever, and I'm like, ugh, end of the
Right.
week,
Mhm.
But I mean, I don't know. Once I get on here, it's like after I get done, I'm like, ooh, it's all good. But I mean, yeah, we're on here, we're doing some fucking work.
Right.
It is what it is, right?
Mhm.
All right. So just real quick, when the place that I'm staying is the same place that I stayed because I was in Oklahoma City, September of 23. And this
Mhm.
was I stayed in the same complex. It was a unit towards the front, but again, same complex, right?
Right.
And I had looked, there was one other unit I looked at in this complex because how I was spacing it out, it would have been I think for next week that it was available, not this week, and then found this one.
Mhm.
And look at the pictures. And I'm like, oh, it looks nice. Looks just like the other one, a little bit different setup, but the floor plan's the same. But of course, obviously how it looks, a hardwood, whatever. So I'm like, oh, it looks like a nice place. So I get here and it was weird. Like I got almost the place seems a little bit more the complex seems a little bit more run down than it did
Mhm.
in that amount of time.
Right.
And kind of as a jump aside side note, when I was talking to Morgan about it, she's the one that kind of pointed out this area when I was down here the first time because she used to live in this complex.
Okay.
And then when I was talking to her on Wednesday, kind of telling her about this unit, she's like, she goes, that place is weird. She goes, it'll go kind of up and down. Sometimes it'll be really, like a really nice kind of high level type of thing. Sometimes it'll
Mhm.
drop a little bit, this sort of thing. I'm like, well, it must be in a downswing because it has a feel of that, I don't know
Right.
why.
Yeah.
But so I walk in here and I mean, to begin with, right away, I walked in, I'm like, I smelled animals right away. Um,
Mm.
and then I looked on the app and I'm like, oh fuck, it's pet friendly, which I I don't if I stayed in a place, I may have stayed in a place that have been pet friendly, but I've never smelled the remnants of dogs or anything like that
Mm.
because usually they'll clean them and do whatever.
Sure.
It's got hardwood in here and then whatever in the kitchen and then like a carpeting in the bedroom and then a rug in the dining room and then a rug in front of the tub. And the only thing that I can figure is that again, whoever's been in here, they probably didn't, clean the carpets well.
Mm.
It just smells like dogs.
Right.
And I'm like, it depends on the dog, it depends on the areas. I get these minor allergies,
Mhm.
and I don't know what types of dogs affect me. I don't know. Just
Right.
sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And I'm just like, oh, this is going to be fucking wonderful if this happened, whatever dogs are in here. And I've been a little bit stuffy, but that's what I woke up this morning. I'm like really stuffed up today. And I'm wondering if just, again, temperature change, whatever happened,
Right.
and, whatever. But then I walk into the bathroom and above the tub, the furnace must be up there because it's a condo. And I'm
Sure.
guessing it's probably one of like when we were in, where do we stay? Where was our place on Baltic?
Right. Yeah.
The water heater and the furnace and everything was up in that closet in your bedroom, I think, right?
Wasn't it? I think it was like it was off of your bedroom, wasn't it? Like the front staircase closet, if I remember right.
Yeah, I don't remember because
Wasn't in my bedroom.
okay, so yeah, then it might have been, but it was in the ceiling. It was. I
Yeah.
remember
Right.
it being. You might be right. It might have been in my bedroom.
Yeah.
But either way, you get the smaller units in there. Yeah, they're up in their
Yeah.
ceilings.
Right.
So I didn't think about it right away, but I look and there's this whole like a trap door piece, but it
Mhm.
looks like it's a little warped and it's kind of hanging down, and they kind of put clear tape around it. I'm looking. I'm
Mm.
like, what the fuck, like, well, that's kind of fucked up. I went to the bathroom, went to wash my hands. There's like no water pressure in the sink. I went down underneath. I was going to adjust, and I'm not going to fuck with those. Figure snap one off. Either
Right.
they got the wrong valves in there, or have them way turned down and they're stuck. So it's just this, not a trickle, but it's just barely any water pressure in there. Shower's fine, toilet flush is fine, whatever.
Mhm.
Just kind of little things, and it
Right.
just, it's not as nice and it's not as well kept as the other one was. But again, internet works fine, this and that, everything else is fine. No noisy neighbors. I can hear people upstairs, but all of that's been fine. But New Year's Eve, again, just hanging out, doing whatever. And I had to get up early because we were leaving early. She was going to be here at like 8 o'clock. So,
Mhm.
I just treated it like a work night,
Right.
get ready. And I lay down in bed. It's like 10:30. And so I'm laying down trying to go to sleep. And all of a sudden I hear, "Put your arms where I can see them.
Ah!
Put your arms out to the side." And I'm like, what the fuck? And I thought I heard, again, I'm dozing off and I thought I heard sirens. So I
Mhm.
kind of looked through the blinds and I'm just shitting you. There's a minimum of 5 cop cars in the parking lot.
Nice.
I see this one dude come running past the window, one cop running, the other cop running. I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm just looking out there and I'm like, first of all, I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, what if somebody starts shooting? I'm standing in front of the fucking
Mhm.
window. And then I'm like, again, powerless. I went back to bed.
Yeah.
And I just went to sleep, and I felt I must have fallen asleep right away because I didn't hear anything else. But yeah, the cops showed up here at New Year's Eve.
Amateur night.
I know, but it's not bad, but it's probably it's not as nice. It's been all functional and whatever it is. The biggest thing was the animal smell, and I just I don't know. It was just weird, I mentioned it too. I had to. Oh, the washer or the dryer wasn't working to begin with.
Hmm.
The knob on the dryer sticks, so I mean, literally had to use both hands to like turn it. They're stackables, and I was thinking it was broken, so I was messaging back and forth to the host, and finally tried it again, and it worked. But
Uh-huh.
then I'm like, oh, side note, dog smell. Side note, what's the thing above the tub type of thing? She didn't answer the thing about the above the tub,
Mhm.
but she's like, oh yeah, we are pet friendly, but we have it professionally cleaned. And I'm like, I know you don't, but I didn't
Well,
say that.
you pay someone to clean it. That doesn't make them professionals. Well, I
Yeah,
guess it
and
does technically, but
yeah, and it's not like a shag carpet, but it's a thicker type of carpet. So whatever, it is what it is. It's functional. I'm leaving tomorrow, so I'm fine. But
right.
and again, I was able to work. Apparently they pay their internet bill, so I don't have to worry about that. So,
Well, that's nice.
so now that's a good thing. But yeah, it's funny. I mean, I woke up, I was fucking tired. I was stuffed up or slept funny or whatever the case was. But either way, you know what? Life on life's terms, as they say.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the Van Halen thing. I started listening to, and you know about Alex Van Halen's book. I think I
Right.
brought it up, and you knew about it. But
No,
yeah,
sure.
so I had read about it to begin with and heard it was coming out, and then also I don't read some reviews or something like that, and so I knew it before I jumped into it that he's only talking about from when their childhood up to the end of the David Lee Roth era.
Right.
Okay, because his point in these articles that I read is that was the start. That was as I think as he put it, the magic of the band. That was when they, kind of gained their footing and all these different
Mhm.
things. And I'm like, well, that's cool. I mean, I get it because
Right.
that was Van Halen, and then it
Right.
grew, out to Sammy and the whatevers and blah blah blah.
Uh-huh.
And the parts that I've listened to so far, first of all, did you know that Alex was sober too?
I did not.
I didn't either. He mentioned it in there. I yet or so far haven't caught like when, but he was talking about it because obviously he's reading it and said
Mhm.
that I've been sober for years, but and I'm like really, like, I didn't fucking know. But just the other day, some article pops up about it's Sammy Hagar in an
Uh-huh.
article and talking about the Alex Van Halen book. And I saved the article because there's some highlights on there that I just got to read because I thought I laughed at it. But first of all, the title of the article, Sammy Hagar, Alex Van Halen not acknowledging Van Hagar is blasphemy to Eddie's legacy.
Ah.
And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Mhm.
So I'm skimming through this article, and he says, no disrespect to Alex, but it's okay to be like VH with Sammy, even if or to be it's okay to like Van Halen with Sammy, even if he doesn't anymore. More purists believe Van Halen ended with David Lee Roth.
Mhm.
Blah 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 blah. What did he say? He said Alex is not doing his brother his brother's musical legacy justice by not acknowledging all the number one albums and some great music that Eddie and I wrote together. This is Sammy speaking,
Of course.
not Alex, but Eddie and I wrote together, wrote Hagar. Now, to not acknowledge those 10 years of music is blasphemy to his brother's musicianship, songwriting, and legacy. Okay, so.
All right.
Do you have any opinions on those words, Mike?
Not really, because I never been a big fan of Sammy Hagar. You know, he did 2 cool albums with Montrose, and other than that, I don't give a shit.
Well, and personally, and I told you, I probably said it on here. I mean, I saw the Van Hagar version twice,
Right.
and they were fucking wonderful. And that was
I'm sure.
music that came out when I was in high school, and
Right.
I was into the original from the first Van Halen album all the way through. But I enjoyed that. I didn't know the number of years, but you know, the 10 years and the number ones, and I enjoyed all that shit. I really did. But. And I have no issue with Sammy Hagar. I think he's an interesting individual. You know,
Yeah.
no issue. I've never had an issue with him until now. Because when I read that, first thing I thought was, Sammy, you need to shut the fuck up, and you need to write your own book if you haven't already. Maybe you have. I don't know. Never looked.
I don't know.
But my opinion is he needs to shut the fuck up because 2 things. It's none of his fucking business what Alex Van Halen or anyone else writes about, you know, because those early years had nothing to fucking do with Sammy Hagar.
Right.
So who says that Alex has to write beyond that? And I understand the point of where Alex is coming from, that this was he's writing about, which is really cool. I'm hearing all the background, and I knew some of the outskirts of where they grew up and how their life was and those sort of things. But it's interesting as fuck so far, just hearing their progression, you know, and when they moved to LA or moved to the States and then settled into LA and all those sort of things. Very cool, you know, and how you can see this stuff building to where they're getting in. They're not even in like the true band yet, as far as what I've listened to. And, you know, really when you create it, I don't know if it would be like if we went through this Sober Not Mature thing, and then I'll throw myself on the sword. I die. You figure out, you know, how to do this thing, and you bring in a new Darren. Okay.
Right.
You know, so now you got, you know, Sober Not Mature with new Bill. You know, maybe you find somebody named Bill, or you just call him Bill.
Right.
So somebody wants to write a book about, you know, the original part. Maybe you want to write a book and you just like, okay, this is the original one. You and I, from standing in a parking lot in Valparaiso, Indiana, and building it to whatever it was.
Right.
I understand that, the purity of what that was to begin with, that if those are the right words, and the purity of what Van Halen was. I don't know. Sammy Hagar just needs to shut the fuck up. I guess that's my point.
That works for me.
It didn't make me mad. I was just like, you're a fucking idiot. You're just a fucking idiot. And speaking of David Lee Roth, look up the song, and everyone out there, write this down. Look up David Lee Roth, Forgiveness. Okay.
All right.
David Lee Roth recorded a new song, and it's fucking terrible. So terrible it's wonderful.
I'm sure.
So fucking terrible that it's wonderful. And I don't even know why he did it, but I again came across it these couple of articles, and that was one of them, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's terrible, but it's fun. It's so terrible. Right. It's bad, but good.
Okay.
All right. So anything more on Sammy Hagar? Guess not.
No. 1, 2, 3 lock box.
Right. All right. So this, I don't even know where this came from. I didn't even tag this one. What is the best way, in your opinion, for you to be of service to others?
The best way for me to be of service to others?
Yes.
I don't know. If I do that, I'm not a fucking clue, man.
Okay, well let's reword that. What is the one way that you are of service to others?
I mean, there's lots of ways I'm of service to others. You know, the first one is staying sober. Right. I mean, you know, I do little shit for, you know, lots of people all over the place. I try to. I don't know. Yeah, the best way, I have no clue. I just do, the next right thing, and you know, try to make other people's lives a little bit better. Other than that, I have no idea.
Yeah, and I don't even know. I don't. It had to have come out of maybe it didn't come out. I was going to say it had to have come out of a reading, but
Mm,
possibly not. But I don't know. I mean, the whole thing of being a service is just like you said. I mean, just trying to make, if nothing else, maybe try not to be a fucking shitty person, right? Be
right.
trying to, make our little corner of the world a better place, I guess, if
Right.
nothing else. But
Stop being as big of an asshole as I could be.
right.
Right.
Okay. So next one. Next
Yep.
one. So this was from God Grant Me. At our meetings, how can we tell the real winners from those that just talk the talk? The
Mm.
ones who sound healthier than they actually are. We
Mhm.
need to take a look at the bigger picture of their lives. What are they doing outside of meetings? Who are their friends? Blah, blah, blah. But right off the bat, if you walk into a meeting, I guess, even if you don't know these individuals,
Mhm.
how can you tell? And maybe winners is the wrong word, but, people who are
Mhm.
just talking the talk type of thing. Is it
Right.
easy for you to pick somebody like that out, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's not difficult. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, usually they're usually not very loud. Um they're usually again, you can see the light in their eyes, you can feel the peace and serenity that they have in them. You can tell, and you can tell the ones that they're again loud, generally trying to cover something up, and yeah, just yeah.
And maybe the people that are telling you how good they are, right?
Oh well, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Telling you how much they know and all the things that they do and who they do them
Hmm.
for. And yeah, the people that are kind of making a list, and I don't know, just right. It's like giving you a verbal resume, I guess, is
Yeah,
the way to
exactly. Look how fucking wonderful I am. No, thank you.
Yeah, and it's and again, they came from Guy Grammy, which I thought was kind of funny, but I
Hmm.
immediately remembered in no specific examples of anyone in particular, but
Mm,
it's pretty easy. But then on top of that too, when you see people that because then it goes into the other part of it, taking a look at that bigger picture. I mean, what are they doing outside of meetings? Who are they
right.
friends? Who are they hanging out
Hmm.
with? That sort of thing. And they always tell people like that. I mean, obviously, well, you and I talked about that a couple months ago. How good is our sobriety? Ask the people around us. Because
Yep.
or look at the people around us. What are we
Hmm.
doing? What do you say after the in between the Our Father and the Serenity Prayer, right? In between, yeah.
Correct. Yes.
I
Not
had to
between the Serenity Prayer and the Our Father. That's the easy one. Right. It's between the Our Father and the Serenity Prayer. What are you doing outside of that church basement?
yeah, I had to think about that. And I'm like, am I getting that right? Yeah, I am. Yeah, because it's one I'm looking at the end to then the beginning of.
Hmm.
But yeah, and it is. It's kind of funny. I mean, the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, it is. It is pretty easy most of the time to pick those people out.
Right. As Marty used to always say, game recognizes game.
Right.
In other words, you can't bullshit a bullshitter.
Well, and that kind of goes to one more little one. This is again from I was going to say a simple one, but it is kind of simple from Keep It Simple. Um, the best amend that we can make to everyone is to stay sober.
Hmm.
Agreed?
Period.
Okay, next one. See, that's fine. I'm kind of checking things off the list.
Hmm.
Um, here's one other one. Here's a kind of an older one. Let's go. We could probably go back to what before we were sober, hopefully. But it says today I'll list my five. This was from Keep It Simple. Did I say that? I don't know. But today I'll list my five favorite excuses. I'll think of the last time I used each of these. What
Mm,
was I trying to avoid? So I guess the number one question is, are we making excuses about things today? That's number
right.
one. Or is it better to look at this, hopefully pre sobriety, right?
Right. Oh yeah. Well, you know, the biggest one and the best one is it's not my fault. I take absolutely no responsibility for any of this.
Right.
Right. Hmm. Right. And in post sobriety is I take responsibility for all of this. It is all my fault.
Right.
Good and bad.
Well, and that's the thing too. Whenever I wrote this down, God only knows, but listing my 5 favorite excuses. God, if I even had one or two,
Mm-hmm.
even one that I was using on a regular basis,
Right.
I mean, boy, that that kind of not even kind of that makes me uncomfortable just even thinking about it.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't want to have. I want to be able to. I think I try to be honest with everyone. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
again, does my ass look fat in these jeans? Nah, you look okay. I mean, I'm not stupid.
Right.
But I'm not trying to lie, to people these days and,
Mm-hmm.
make excuses and, somebody asked me if I want to do something. I'm like, eh, we'll see.
Right.
We'll see is
Right.
probably the biggest excuse that
Yes,
I would use.
but
Yes, but well, what if what if we do something else instead?
all right.
What if
How
we do
about no? I don't want to do that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with just that pure fucking
Mhm.
honesty, right?
Right. No, I don't want to do that. What time do you want me there?
Right. Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing Friday night? Well, it completely depends on what follow-up question you have for me.
Right. What am I doing Friday night? Probably leading for your dumb ass, being of service somewhere.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, we know if we're asked that in a meeting,
Mhm.
we know where that one's leading. It's like, yeah,
Yep.
where and when. Where
Yep.
and when.
Exactly.
You
That
don't
again, my answer. No. What time do you want me to be there?
Exactly. All right. So, does anyone know? Do you think anyone knows about Monica Lewinsky anymore? You think?
Probably not, but
So here's the funny part, and I Dak Shepard's podcast, which I talk about, it's called Armchair Experts. I mean, I was flipping through whatever. Oh, real quick, Mark Barron. Did you see that he had Ron Livingston on, the dude
uh
from Office
oh
Space?
no, I did not.
Yeah,
And from
on.
what the hell was the sobriety show that he did? Starts with a B.
Oh yeah,
God damn.
Loudermilk.
Oh
Loudermilk.
yeah, that's it. Doesn't
Yeah.
start with a B at all.
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. No, yeah, you're right. It's Bowdermilk.
Right.
But yeah, so let's talk about that instead. I'd rather talk about him rather than Monica Lewinsky's. I just
All right.
thought about it. So he had him on, and Ron Livingston's wife, can't remember her name. I looked her up because to see if I would recognize her, but apparently Mark interviewed her at some point. I
Mhm.
don't remember what she does. She's an actress or producer, whatever. She's in the biz,
Okay.
So Mark had apparently interviewed her at some point. And it said, it'd be nice to have Ron on. And same deal. Ron wasn't, he wasn't promoting anything or trying to do anything, but
Mhm.
really, really good conversation. And this
Hmm.
had to have been the one, it had to have been Thursday. Maybe I
Okay.
didn't even finish it all yet. I don't remember now. Yeah, of course I did. Maybe it was Monday. I don't know. Anyhow, good conversation, but he brought up the whole Loudermilk thing.
Mhm.
And, it's, have you seen it
I've
or
never
no?
seen it. No.
Okay. So I don't know if it's on Netflix or not, but that's where I watched it, if it's still on there. But he was talking about it when the show first came out. It was on some other network. And then
Mhm.
he said basically it got a big jump whenever it popped on Netflix within the
Right.
last couple years or few years.
Right. Yeah, a couple years ago I remember it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Netflix got it, and he said they got this big bump out of it because he goes, it really didn't. I think he was saying it really didn't get that big of a. It wasn't too big to begin with.
Right.
But Mark asked me, he said, so how did you, to get into that role? Because Ron's
Mhm.
character, Loudermilk, is his name in there.
Right.
He plays a guy that's sober and leads a group and does all these different things. And
Mhm.
so he said what he did was, because Mark asked him, did you go to, did you research whatever? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I actually went into, and he goes, I tried to do it. He goes, literally, I tried to do it anonymously.
Mhm.
He goes, I didn't know how to pick a meeting, whatever. And he must have picked an open meeting. But he goes, I'm thinking, I've seen this shit on TV. He goes, I'm thinking I'm just going to go into this big meeting, sit in the back and be able to by myself and listen. He goes,
Mhm.
and Mark's like, you ended up in a small meeting. He goes, yeah. He goes, it was like 7 people there. And he ended up being honest with him, tell him, this
Right.
and that for a TV show. And
Mhm.
and then, after all said and done, the people are like, oh yeah, good luck with your TV show. And they're like, Mark's like, they didn't believe it. He's like, no, they didn't fucking believe me.
Of course not.
He goes, he thought I was telling a story.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, I mean, he does not have a problem with alcohol, but here's the cool part. What he said, he goes 2 things. He goes, first of all, he said, he went to a couple of meetings. He goes, I came out of these meetings. He went when we were shooting the show. He goes, I realized, he goes, we can't, the show is a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, we cannot make fun of this stuff.
Right.
We can't make fun of the people. We can't make fun of the process. He goes, people's lives depend on this. He goes, this is some serious shit.
Right.
He goes, we need to keep that in mind. And it is one of the shows where they got a little bit, I don't know, you'll see all the cliche things in those TV shows, including that. Every once in a while, I roll my eyes at some of these, even though I know the people, you can tell they've got somebody who's done some research.
Sure.
But Mark said, how'd you feel after all is said and done? He goes, you mean, do I still drink? And he goes, I do, but he goes, here's a funny part. He goes, I'm more mindful of how I drink and when I drink. He said, I'm not saying I don't drink, but he goes, rather than maybe, going out and having a handful or something like that. And if maybe he didn't say that, but he goes, I might just have one. He goes, I realize that I don't necessarily need it all the time. I feel better. I feel healthier. It was just really interesting. And then the rest of it, they talked about Office Space and of course all that different stuff, but it was a good interview. But I like the fact that, it seemed like him going to meetings and then him doing that show, this whole thing, I mean, literally, kind of touched his life.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Which was, cool. But I do recommend it. It was a good show. I enjoyed it. Again, cliche-ish, comedy-ish. Some of the stuff is, an eye roll here and there. But for the most part, I mean, I think they did a relatively good job of, depicting what we do.
Right.
But I'm sure there was, the keep coming backs and the work it if you work it, works if you work it, and I'm sure there's the hand holding if I remember correctly, and, some of the typical crosstalk this and all that stuff. It's just I don't know, some of it just is kind of laughable, but I don't know. Do you ever do that? Watch shows like that have that and just kind of, I mean, some of them just like roll your eyes at some of those, or do you ever have those times?
I don't believe I've ever watched any of them. Not really. I mean, whatever. What, the Michael Keaton movie?
Oh,
yeah, right. The Clean and Sober. Yeah.
Right.
Took me a second. Yeah. And that's crap. I think at one point I saw was it Sandra Bullock?
Bullock, yeah. 28 days.
Yeah. Yep. That's garbage. I watched the TV show. What was it? Mom, I think it was called.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's crap.
Yeah, there was somebody that I watched a couple of episodes of that because somebody I met or was talking to that was sober had mentioned that, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out. And I'm like,
right.
I didn't watch that much of it. So
no. Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, people seem to like that one. Garbage. Yeah, I sit there and point out all the inaccuracies and then go, well, I'm done with that and move along.
Right.
Yeah. And again, if I'm, mindless television, the last thing I want to be is fucking program shit. It was like when Phyllis told us not to go back to our bunks and read the big book.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Well, and there's another one with Will Arnett had a show called Flaked that I watched, and I've actually it was a sitcom, like a 30-minute sitcom, couple of seasons, whatever it was, and it depicted he did the show because he had a relapse. I mean, he's sober now, but he had a relapse at one point, and that was kind of the show depicted. I think he had mentioned that at that time frame, was kind of a tell of how his relapse and stuff went.
Right.
Again, interesting enough, but even with him, being a sober guy and stuff like that, being, and I think he did a 12-step or is still, around 12-step stuff.
Right.
But still, again, parts of it, I enjoyed the show, but parts of it just fucking hokey. There's no other way to put it.
Right.
And it's almost like I don't know, somebody taking all the, whatever the cliches that we have that are cliches, but just highlighting them in a weird way.
Right.
And you're like,
right.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, Sparky, settle down. Settle down.
Exactly.
But I'd rather, like I said, I would have rather talked about Ron Livingston than Monica Lewinsky. We'll come back to Lewinsky though. It's all interesting. Right. The only thing that I will say, kind of as I don't know if it's even a tease, but just an observation, is that I've never listened to or read anything from her side of it. And it's interesting, if nothing else.
Right.
I've got some there's a joke side to it too in my brain, but in listening to it, I was like, God damn, I mean, there's a human being on the other side of that, on the other
Right.
side of that dick.
Right. Exactly. I mean, yeah, she was, a kid who
Right.
got manipulated by a powerful man.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And she, the only thing last thing I'll say about that, she was talking about how she grew up and had self-esteem issues and these sort of things and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh boy, you're just painting the picture for how you ended up in that circumstance.
Right.
Not necessarily her fault, whatever the case is, but yeah, it's somebody she got pulled in by, I mean, the fucking is president,
Yep.
I mean, I don't know, given the right amount of money or fame, I might have sucked Bill Clinton's dick. I mean,
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm sure I would have.
I was going to say $20 is $20, but
Exactly.
I mean, it's turned out to be more than $20. But yeah, she was going through, and he surprisingly, and he's a better interviewer or host now than he was, 5 years ago. Granted, growth and stuff like that, but he handled it really well, and the interview went really well, and they talked about it. But again, it was done surprisingly well. Is all I'm going to say about it. So
cool.
So there, all right. But what do you think? I mean, I don't know. Whatever. We've done enough work. This year's done. So fuck it. 2025 sucks, man.
Yeah, man. Can't wait. 26, man. That's my year.
Yeah, we fucked up already. Oh well, I guess we give up. Yeah, but on that note, what do you think, my friend? Your turn.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. Go out there and do something nice for somebody else this week, and don't tell anybody you did it. All right. Now I'm trying to pull the thing up because, I don't have this one memorized yet. So here we go. From the bottom of my heart to the depths of my soul, from the beginning of time till the ends of the earth, always and eternally, fuck you. Now it's that time, kids. It's time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off till you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over that gate, dream the impossible dream, and keep fucking off forever.
Yeah, I had to unmute and laugh at you when you were doing that. Yeah, I wouldn't. Usually I'm not close enough to the mute button. I just had to be. I was making a note about that, and we talked about Ron Livingston, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to laugh at him real quick. But yeah, I don't know. We did some work, so that is what it is.
We did a podcast.
We did a podcast.
Here you go. Here you go. Right there in your ear hole.
And then you know what? For the next 4 Fridays, I'm actually going to be 2 hours behind you. Going to be in the old Mountain Time.
Nice.
Only time I was in Mountain Time for Kimmy's wedding, and that was for less than 48 hours. But it'll be I'll be working. The only thing that it will be weird though, I'm working like 7 to 4. Which will be on Fridays I'll get off at fucking 2 in the afternoon, which will be fucking weird. And we'll be recording at like 5 o'clock at night. I'll be recording. So yeah, eating my pizza. I'll literally be the early bird. I get done with work. I'll be eating pizza at fucking 3:30 in the afternoon. Here's my dinner, bitch.
All right, with the other old man.
Yeah, what the fuck do I care? When I eat when I'm fucking hungry.
Yeah.
I live by no goddamn rules.
That's right.
All right, man. Well, I love you, brother.
I love you too.
And we'll talk soon.
We shall.
Bye.
Bye. And now it is time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off until you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over that gate, dream the impossible dream, and keep fucking off forever.